Welcome to this programming tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you what a data type is, how typecasting works, and what an output is. Data types are important to a programming language, or important to a program. The reason we have data types is because they interact with each other differently. Let's go through 5 common data types. To start, we have an integer, or a whole number that's either positive or negative. For example, 15, negative 32, or 0. Next, we have a real number. A real number is any real-world measurement. For example, 0.54, negative 0.2, or 4.12. You'll notice that all of these are decimal numbers. Next, we have a character, or char. This is any single letter, number, or symbol on your keyboard. We use single quotations to measure them, or to show them, like capital A, lowercase a, percentage symbol, or 5. We use single quotations because it's only one character. Next up, we've got a string. A string, also known as a list of characters, is any text that you'd write. We use double quotations here to write a string out, and we can write hello world, hello 123, or hello exclamation mark. You'll notice we can mix different characters together. Lastly, we have a boolean. A boolean, or bool, is a true or false statement, written without speech marks and with a capital T or a capital F. Now let's see how we can print these out, so we can see how they interact with each other. In this case, to output to the screen, I'm going to use a subroutine. A subroutine is a command or a piece of code that has been pre-written that you are running. In this case, we're using the print command. Just think of print as being a command that someone has written a whole bunch of code for that you're going to use, and all you have to do is write the word print. The brackets over here tell the program what I want to print. If I want to print out hello, I can do that, and if I click the play button, I'll see hello come to my screen. I can print multiple times down a string. You'll notice that they appear one after the other. I can also print out different data types, like an integer, a real number, a boolean, or a character. There we go. Now what happens if we try to mix two of them? Let's start with integers. If I add 15 and 15, I get 30. This is because the plus operator becomes an arithmetic operator when used after a float or a integer. I spelled arithmetic wrong. So this plus is an arithmetic operator that means to add this to this. What happens if I try to add it to the number 15 or the string 15? I get an error. It is unsupported operands for plus, int, and string, and that happens on line 2. In other words, I can't add the integer 15 to the string 15. What if I try to add a decimal or real number? That works because a real number and an integer react in the same way. What happens if I try to add two strings together? Take a moment to think. When I run it, I get hello world with no space in between. This is because space counts as a character, and I need to add a space to show a space, like that. Now, the addition operator doesn't count as an arithmetic operator because you're not getting the sum of hello and world. So when the plus symbol comes after a string or character, it turns into something called concatenation. Concatenation means to join two strings together. So a plus operator can change depending on what the data type is. It could be an arithmetic operator or it could be a concatenation operator. As you see here as well, I can also concatenate a character to a string because a character is similar to a string. Now, what if I want to add my age is, and then the number 25? I'll get an error called a concatenation error or a type error with a concatenation issue. You can't mix string with, I have to have string and string. This is on line 2. Notice it's different from my previous error. This is because the program recognizes that the plus symbol comes after a string, and therefore the plus symbol is a concatenation operator and not a arithmetic operator. Now, how can I solve this problem? There's multiple ways you can do it. We're going to use something called typecasting, which means converting one data type into another data type. To do this, we can look at a couple of the following. To convert to an integer, we can use the int subroutine. This is a piece of code that, when run with the int command, will turn anything in the brackets into an integer, like 25. Note it can't change the word hello into 25, it can't change hello into an integer because hello is not a number. I can convert something into a real number by using float. For example, 25.0, or I could do something like 14. Next, I'm going to zoom out here. I can convert something into a character as well by using the char command. And by the way, a float is just another word for a real number. If I put 65 in here, I'll get the character A appear, capital A. This is because capital A is the 65th ordinal number in the ASCII or Unicode character map. Ordinal number means something like first, second, third, fourth, and in this case, capital A is the 65th letter. When your computer gets a character from your keyboard, it converts it into a number or a binary value that is on the ASCII or Unicode character map. We can also convert something into a ordinal number the opposite way by using ORD to turn capital A back into 65. We will not focus on typecasting booleans for now. So out of all of these, this will convert it into 25, this will convert it into 25.0, this will convert it into 14.0, this will convert it into the character A, and this will convert it into the number 65. Have a think about which one we can use to fix this problem over here. If you're still thinking, that's because it's a trick question. We're missing one typecast. We can convert something into a string using the str command. Like 15 or 25 into a string will output 25. So in this case, 25 can be converted into a string by using str25. If we converted this into an integer over here, it wouldn't work because my age is not a number. Now that we've converted it into an integer, if I delete my typecasting code, I should get no errors. And there we go. Now, the print subroutine has a couple of different ways of using it, a couple of tips and tricks for you. If we want to join this without typecasting everything in the statements, we can instead use a comma. A comma will allow you to join things together as one data type, in this case, a string. See? It even adds an extra space, so I can remove this space over here. I can also write paragraphs in prints instead of writing multiple print lines. So instead of doing this, I can actually write one print statement with one paragraph. To do that, you would add 3 speech marks to begin with and 3 speech marks to end with. And in between, we can write our paragraph. If I run this program, you'll see I get nice spacing at the beginning and end because of my spacing over here, and I get my output in the middle. Now, what if you get a print statement and you've got multiple print statements underneath and you want them to appear one after the other? At the moment, they appear under each other because, as you know, programming reads from top to bottom. Print statements, by default, end each line with a /n. This is a special or has special meaning in programming. It means new line. Let's fix that. We can add a little special command inside a print statement by using a comma and writing end equals and then specifying what we want this line to end with. In this case, let's end it with a space. We'll end the second line with an exclamation mark, and we'll end the third line with an underscore. If I run the program now, you'll see that they're all in the same line. The first one ends with a space, the second one ends with an exclamation mark, and the third one ends with an underscore. Now let's look at a little problem. I have this code over here. We know that it's a paragraph print statement because I've got the speech marks at the beginning and the end. And actually, I've got two paragraphs here because I've got speech marks over here that's concatenated with something. It's concatenated because the string comes before. Therefore, the plus operator means concatenates. And then I've got a string after. Let's fill in the gaps. My name can be Mr. McAuliffe because it's a string. My favorite animal is fox because it's a string. In the middle, we've got my ages, and we want to put my ages here. We could put it as a string, but for this example, let's pretend that we can't do that. If I put 25 in the middle here, and I run my program, I get an error because I can't concatenate a string to an integer. Pause the video and have a think about how we can fix this problem. To fix this problem, what we're going to do is we're going to write string over here, and we're going to typecast the 25 into a string. If we run the program now, we get the correct output. Keep in mind there are multiple ways to solve one solution or one problem. We could just remove all of this and just put 25 here. We could also put a comma in between without the string. That would still work because remember, commas are a little trick to prevent you from having to do typecasting. In this lesson, we have covered 3 things that you need to be comfortable with: data types, typecasting, and the print subroutine. Make sure you are confident in this before you move on to the next lesson. Thank you for watching the tutorial. I hope you found it helpful.